This is the BBC News. Hello, I'm Jonathan Izard. Iran has withdrawn the accreditation of a UN nuclear inspector in what's believed to be the first such incident since the nuclear deal with world powers was struck in 2015. Tehran says that the inspector triggered an alarm at the gate to the Natanz uranium enrichment plant last week, raising suspicion she was carrying a suspect product. In a further step away from the nuclear deal, Iran says that uranium enrichment has now been resumed at another plant. The spokesman for Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, Behruz Kamalvandi, confirmed the restarting of operations.
The operation started at midnight. We are currently collecting enriched uranium, and this will gradually reach a sustainable level. So we expect the enrichment level to reach 4.5% on Saturday morning. The entire operation was done in the presence of IAEA inspectors.
In a wide-ranging interview with a British newspaper, the French President Emmanuel Macron has urged European nations to act in concert and exercise strategic as well as economic power. Mr. Macron said the United States was turning its back on Europe. He told The Economist that Europe, challenged by Russia and China and weakened by Brexit and internal instability, risked losing control of its own destiny. The leader of Britain's main opposition Labour Party is facing renewed accusations of anti-Semitism as the campaign for next month's general election intensifies. The front page of Britain's oldest Jewish newspaper, the Jewish Chronicle, has been entirely dedicated to a call to non-Jews not to back Jeremy Corbyn, accusing him of racism and inspiring anti-Semitism in his party. Here's our political correspondent Rob Watson.
Like the Conservatives before it, Labour is now having a disastrous start to the general election. Its leader, Jeremy Corbyn, has been described as completely unfit to lead the country by one of his own former MPs. The party's deputy leader, a known moderate, has resigned. And in an unprecedented step, the country's best-known paper for the Jewish community has urged non-Jews to consider Labour's record on anti-Semitism before they vote in December.
Jeremy Corbyn, a vocal supporter of Palestinian statehood, has strongly rejected claims that he's anti-Semitic. The International Criminal Court in The Hague has sentenced the former Congolese warlord Bosco Ntaganda to 30 years in prison. He was convicted in July of 13 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. His offences include rape, sexual slavery and ordering massacres of civilians in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The presiding judge, Robert Fremmer, made reference to the suffering endured by children.
Victims suffered physical, psychological, psychiatric and social consequences such as ostracization, stigmatization and social rejection. For example, a 13-year-old victim of rape from Mongwalu suffered injuries which took several months to heal and required surgery years later.
World News from the BBC. A French appeals court has cleared the cement company Lafarge of charges of complicity and crimes against humanity during the Syrian conflict. The company is still being investigated for financing terrorism and other crimes. The charges are linked to allegations that Lafarge paid Islamic State militants to keep its factories running in the area the group controlled in Syria in 2013 and 2014. The company said it deeply regretted the unacceptable errors it had committed and that it would continue to work with French judicial authorities. South Korea said it's deported 2 North Korean fishermen who had confessed to killing 16 fellow crew members. The Unification Ministry in Seoul said the men crossed the maritime border on a fishing boat on Saturday. The police said the men admitted to killing the boat's captain in October in anger over his harsh treatment. They then murdered the other crew members who had protested at the captain's killing. Reports from Nigeria say at least 10 soldiers have been killed in an ambush by Islamist militants in the northeast of the country. 9 people are said to have been seriously injured and 12 soldiers are still missing. The attack targeted a column of troops on patrol and took place on Wednesday in Borno State, an area where Boko Haram militants have been active. The governor of Nigeria's most populous state has said he no longer wants to be referred to by his honorific titles. Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State said Mr. Governor was a more representative title. Our correspondent Mayeni Jones reports from Lagos.
In a series of social media posts, Mr. Sanwo-Olu wrote that he believed that the title Your Excellency had come to represent an authoritarian disposition, executive arrogance and a demigod mystique. He added that this led elected officials to see themselves as oppressors rather than serve their constituents. He concluded that the office of the governor called for sacrifice, modesty and a willingness to add value to the lives of the people. There's been some criticism of the statement on social media by users who said they were not concerned with titles and worried instead about the state of Lagos's infrastructure.
BBC News.